Welcome back to the channel, rugby fans. Before we dive into today's incredible story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update on Springbok rugby. If you're excited about what we're covering, today smash that like button and share this video with your fellow rugby enthusiasts. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring you more content about the team we all love. Now let's get into what's been making waves in South African rugby circles lately. The rugby world has been buzzing with news that Rassie Erasmus is mounting a determined campaign to have the Jan Hendrik Wessels disciplinary case reopened and reviewed. For those who need a refresher, Wessels, the promising Springbok prop, was handed a 9-week suspension earlier this season following a controversial incident during a crucial match. The ban sent shockwaves through South African rugby, with many feeling that the punishment was excessive and didn't align with similar cases we've seen in international rugby. Rassie Erasmus, never one to shy away from fighting for his players, has been working tirelessly behind the scenes to challenge this decision. Sources close to the Springbok setup reveal that the director of rugby has been compiling extensive evidence, consulting with legal experts, and reaching out to World Rugby officials to present a case for why Wessels' suspension should be reconsidered. This isn't just about one player or one incident anymore. It's become a matter of principle for Erasmus, who believes that consistency and fairness in disciplinary proceedings are fundamental to the integrity of the sport. The original incident that led to Wessels' ban occurred during a high-stakes encounter where emotions were running high. The prop was cited for what officials deemed a dangerous tackle, though many observers and rugby analysts argued at the time that the contact was accidental and that Wessels had made a genuine attempt to pull out of the challenge. The disciplinary panel, however, saw things differently, and the 9-week suspension was handed down, effectively ruling Wessels out of several important fixtures for both his franchise and potential Springbok duty. What has particularly frustrated Erasmus and the South African rugby community is the apparent inconsistency in how similar incidents have been judged across different competitions and jurisdictions. Erasmus has reportedly put together a comprehensive dossier highlighting comparable cases from the Six Nations, Rugby Championship, and various domestic competitions where players received significantly lighter sanctions for what many considered more dangerous play. This research has become the cornerstone of his appeal for a review, demonstrating what he sees as a pattern of uneven application of disciplinary standards. The Springbok director of rugby has always been a passionate advocate for his players, sometimes controversially so, but his commitment to what he perceives as justice cannot be questioned. Those within the South African rugby setup describe Erasmus as being deeply invested in this case, spending countless hours reviewing footage, consulting with former referees, and building relationships with decision-makers who might have influence over getting the case reopened. He's approached this challenge with the same meticulous attention to detail that has made him one of the most successful coaches in world rugby. Erasmus has also been careful to frame his campaign not as an attack on the officials who made the original decision, but rather as a call for the system to evolve and improve. In private conversations with rugby administrators, he's emphasized that this is about creating better processes for the future, ensuring that players across all nations are judged by the same standards, and that disciplinary panels have access to all relevant information and context when making decisions that can significantly impact careers and team selections. The timing of this push for a review is particularly significant. With major tournaments on the horizon and the Springboks looking to maintain their position at the pinnacle of world rugby, having all their best players available becomes crucial. Wessels, despite his relative youth, had been developing into an important part of the squad depth, and his absence has created challenges in selection and preparation. However, those close to Erasmus insist that this campaign goes beyond mere tactical considerations. It's about standing up for a principle and ensuring that South African players receive fair treatment in the global rugby landscape. Support for Erasmus's efforts has been growing within South African rugby circles. Former players, current coaches, and rugby commentators have increasingly voiced their backing for a review of the case. Social media has been flooded with analysis and opinions, with many sharing side-by-side comparisons of the Wessels incident with other tackles that received lighter punishments. This groundswell of public support has added weight to Erasmus's arguments and put additional pressure on the relevant authorities to at least consider reopening the case. Behind the scenes, Erasmus has been engaging in careful diplomacy, reaching out to his counterparts in other rugby nations to gauge their perspectives and build support for more consistent disciplinary standards across the board. He's been presenting this not as a South African issue, but as a global rugby issue that affects the credibility of the sport's governance structures. This approach has been strategic, positioning the Wessels case as a catalyst for broader reform rather than an isolated complaint. The legal and procedural pathways for getting such a case reviewed are complex and not always straightforward. Erasmus and his team have been navigating these bureaucratic challenges with determination, filing the appropriate submissions, requesting meetings with key officials, and ensuring that every argument is backed by solid evidence and precedent. It's a process that requires patience, persistence, and political savvy, all qualities that Erasmus has demonstrated throughout his rugby career. What makes this situation even more compelling is how it reflects Erasmus's broader philosophy about leadership and loyalty. He's consistently shown that he will go to great lengths to support his players, to fight for what he believes is right, and to challenge systems that he sees as flawed or unfair. This unwavering commitment has earned him tremendous respect within the Springbok camp, and has created a culture where players know their leader will stand by them when times get tough. As this story continues to develop, the rugby world watches with interest to see whether Erasmus's campaign will be successful. Will the authorities agree to review the case? Will new evidence or arguments lead to a reduction or overturning of the suspension? These questions remain unanswered, but what's clear is that Rassie Erasmus is not giving up without exhausting every possible avenue. His determination to secure what he sees as justice for John Hendrik Wessels has become one of the most talked about stories in rugby, highlighting once again how the South African director of rugby operates, his commitment to his players, and his willingness to challenge the status quo when he believes it's necessary. Whatever the outcome, this campaign has already sparked important conversations about fairness, consistency, and accountability in rugby's disciplinary processes, conversations that may ultimately benefit players across all nations for years to come.